Welcome to Becoming the Ultimate Coach. I'm the Jock, this is the Doc, and this is our last episode on becoming brilliant at the basics. So we've been over a lot of different topics. If you haven't seen them, go back and check them out. It's all with appearance, verbal, nonverbal. What are the other things? Preparation. That's a good one. I need to start doing that one. So this one we're going to talk about education. And so education is going to be the basics of the training and the plans you put in place. But here's what's really important. So many people I see in this space, their education that they've had leading up to this training is whether it's in college or they did their certification through whatever platform it is, and then it kind of stops. And what we have to do is, and what should be a basic thing of your career, is this education based off the clientele that you're seeing. And so it's super important kind of breaking it down of like what we teach a lot here is behavior change. Dr. J's got her PhD in behavior change. And so we talk a lot about that because so many of the people that are coming into this space are looking for fat loss. They're looking to be healthier. And so we see people that come into this space, they're educated on, how to do a squat, how to write a program, or, how to teach running form or something like that, but it doesn't really line up with what really the clients are really wanting. So really kind of breaking down of like what you have foundational wise, education wise, what you can build on top of that, and what your clients are really needing.
Yeah, in human nature, we get comfy and we like similarity, familiarity, structure, all of those kind of things. And so also kind of look that there's probably people in the industry that you follow, you like their work, you've gone to conferences and seen them present, and it's interesting. And so you have sometimes a drive to keep listening to them and learning from them or in those topical areas, which is great. Going deeper is not a bad thing, but also going broader and saying to yourself, like, to your point, are my clients asking for more variations in kettlebell, or are they talking to me about their stress? Are they talking to me about their flexibility? Are they talking to me about those things? And how can I go learn more? The other nice benefit, besides the fact that you just have more in your toolbox for your clients in more ways, is that learning new and different things on a regular basis does two things. It sharpens your brain and your ability to connect information faster and more agilely. So that's always a good thing. But it also keeps you intrigued. Yep. So as much as the human brain is comfortable with familiarity and structure, that challenge, that intrigue, the unknown, helps you kind of seek that out in people that have been doing something day after day after day, can talk about burnout, can talk about those things. And a great way to avoid that is by mixing it up, going and learning things, creating new challenges for your brain, because I hear people talk about, like, I've been doing the same thing every day, clients complain about the same thing, they need the same thing. You can't control that as much as you can control the insights and information that you're putting in.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know I wouldn't have been in the space for as long as I have been if I wouldn't continue my education. And just not from a value standpoints and the clients of giving more information, just in I would be so bored. Like if I just did the same thing that I knew, close to 20 years ago, it's just it gives me excitement. And then clients can feel that excitement and they're excited to be there too. And they know that they're working with someone that has the most cutting edge kind of information, because this does change a lot in the personal training space is pretty young, and so we are learning a lot. So with us coming with that great information, the client that we're working with feels like, okay, I'm in great hands, and plus it always just keeps me engaged, so I'm not just doing the same thing over and over again. And so really breaking down the education, we need to go to the basics of that too, because when I first started off as a trainer, I was like, okay, I need to learn Olympic lifting, so I went to a weekend certification of that. I need to go to the rehab specialist. I need to go to sports performance specialist. I need to go to supplements and nutrition, all these different things. And I'm getting all these different educations, but it's not really focused on the clientele that were coming in. Like the majority of my clients that were coming in were like, I want to lose some weight. I want to be a little more confident in myself and my body. I want to be a little bit healthier, and that's it. Like the Olympic lifting I do with people now is I have 2 athletes, and that might be the only 2 out of our 200 at our facility that do any sort of Olympic lifting, because it takes so much skill work. And so that's why when you and I met and you started talking about the behavior change, it's like, wow, this is super important. And this is when we talk about education of and this is why we're educating so many people on it, because this is the part we see that's missing in most of this education.
Yeah, absolutely. And the the other thing is, and yeah, and I of course like behavior change because, it's my thing. But also, in part, one of the reasons that I've been in this field of behavior change for so long too is because behavior is a manifestation of what we do, and there's such a broad range of types of behavior, goals, needs. So you can play with that information in so many different ways, whether it's performance, stress management, relationships, you name it. And so again, it just reinforces that I'm constantly challenged and looking at in different facets. The other nice thing I want to point out too is that when we go, so in a previous episode, you talked about a conference that we were at, and one of the world's, experts in sort of wearables was talking. And so we got a lot of great information from that. And there's also some things that he said where we don't know yet how reliable this is still developed. And when people talk about, well, I read on the internet or I read this, you can say like, hey, I was at a conference, this guy talked about this, here's some things that he felt like the science is pretty clear on. And here's some things that the science isn't clear on yet. That's not me having an answer. That's not me saying, oh, well, that works, this doesn't work. But it's also sharing that, hey, you're my client, you're coming to me, you're reading all of this information. Is that right? Is this right? Everybody's got their claims. And you can just present kind of another way to think about it is, yeah, there are some things, there's other things that they're still trying to figure out. So it might work, but it also might not. So we don't always have to have the answer. But if we can kind of share some of the information that we glean and kind of help, even if it's a way to think about these processes or pieces of information, that can really help clients as well.
When I'm talking to my team about education, I like to think on like two fronts. Like there's very specific. So in the sense of someone that's working with like prenatal, postnatal, when it has to do with like movement. So that's something that like you're learning very specifically on that. And sometimes it's going to the conference like we did there where it's like, every hour there's 3 or 4 talks going on and you can go and like just hear bits of information. And then if you find something you really like, you can go deeper. Or It can be like a podcast. And, we're big fans of Andrew Huberman's podcast and he's giving great information and something you can go very broad because there's a little bit, it's like you don't know what you don't know. Exactly. And you can find different topics of like, oh, I want to go deeper on that. It also gives you good conversation pieces, and we talk a lot about this in our verbal one of like, between reps and sets sometimes there's some dead time with your client, and it's nice to fill it with some if they're not just completely out of breath or getting a drink or something like that. And so you can have those conversations where you're talking about things they're interested, which I'm into, but also you can be giving them valuable information of things that they care about because of your education. And again, it's going back to the point of like, you're there for their fitness guide. And if you're constantly having the best answers for stuff, they are going to find you very valuable.
And also don't underestimate the referral kind of benefits. And you talked before about the long play. If I'm training with you, you give me some information about wearables or just this nugget, and then I'm hanging out socially with my friends and they're talking about wanting to do a wearable, and I say, well, Scott, my personal trainer, was saying that he was at a conference, this guy was talking, this was the information. Oh, and then maybe another time I share a nugget. Pretty soon you start having this understanding, they're thinking like, this Scott guy seems to be paying attention, being current, he's learning, and so overall now there's that kind of, you've talked about this before, being in the community and people just kind of knowing you in conversation. So it really can also then help generate more understanding of your capacity and your ability to serve people.
Yeah, so really just to break this down, it's kind of looking at the current people that you're working with and like where are you falling short in your education. And that's why we're teaching behavior change. We see very few people that understand that. They know how to write a program, they know some exercises, but they don't really know how to help with this, where we talk about this information to implementation gap, the helping people do the things that they're telling them to do. And then also kind of keeping this broad category of just continuously learn so you can be that valuable resource. So you're just worth more to the client. And what we talk a lot with our staff and our team and other trainers we work with, it's all about value. If a lot of people that come and start working with you, like they understand that initial cost. And so besides the rare occasion where they like lose their job or something dramatic happens, when they're like, well, financially I need to change things up, they're just not sensing the value. And this, by having the education that's specific to what they're trying to accomplish, and by having the education of this broad topics of things that they're interested in, like you are very valuable. So back to becoming brilliant at the basics will make you a great coach. So see you next time.